The insane jobs of medieval barbers.
Let's start with the ones that were shocking and work our way towards the ones that were insane. Number 10, haircuts. Now, you're probably wondering, how on earth can cutting hair even be on the list? No, there wasn't a—
Bro, have y'all ever like gotten y'all hair lined up and then you feel like a sharp pain just— Bro, I swear to God, some of these barbers be nicking you. Like, I've had a time, oh God, not even trolling. A barber was cutting my hair and he nicked a piece of my ear. You telling me y'all creating damage and you have a regular like trimmer? How are you cutting a piece of my ear? Hold on, let me see. I think now it's good, but you see how this ear looks perfect? This one, hold on. He nicked it like right here. It's kind of pointy. You can't really see it anymore. But bro, at the time I was like, what the hell?
weird or disgusting method that medieval barbers used to cut hair or anything like that. Instead, the thing that was disgusting were the haircuts themselves. Surprisingly, haircuts were seen as a status symbol during the medieval period and were a quick way to identify a person's social ranking. This meant that a peasant couldn't just walk into a barber shop and request a hairstyle reserved for nobles and kings, since that would have instantly made him royalty. But let's cover some of the strangest haircuts from this time period so you can see exactly why this belongs on the list.
What were y'all asking
Let's start
for?
off.
Oh, hell no. Oh, God, that better not be the royalty haircuts. Y'all was asking for a bald cut? This is like the tip of the bowl cut.
The tonsure haircut.
What command, what had to come out of your mouth for you to want to cut like this? No, you deadass just had to go to the barber and say, "F my shit up." And then he gonna know exactly what to do. Y'all thought this was hard? Bro, if you wanted this effect, you could just wear a hat, a beanie.
This haircut was given to priests, monks, or any religious man to symbolize their commitment to their faith.
So if they're ugly, they're more believable, right? Is that what it is? If they're chopped, they're more likely gonna do their job?
Obviously, a timeless hairstyle that is still worn today. The Norman haircut. This was a practical haircut worn by knights and soldiers that made wearing chainmail under their helmets a bit more comfortable. The cropped bowl cut. This wasn't your typical bowl cut we all got as a child. This was cut a bit higher up on the head and was a hairstyle so popular that it transcended social classes.
Do y'all think people roasted one another back then? Like, do y'all think that was a concept? Because everyone looked chopped. I don't think so, bro. They probably only cared about the real important things, like your status, what type of job you have, what your ethnicity is and shit like that.
Then of course there was the medieval bob, the beaver tail, the big
Okay, not that cut, but the other one was pretty fly. I ain't gonna lie.
boy bowl cut, the zatsara, and of course, the bald cut, which was popular among those crawling with lice. Number 9, enemas. Enemas are an injection of fluid.
I'm sorry. What haircut requires you to put a balloon in someone's asshole? And look at that man, he enjoying that. Are you trying to make his hair like more flowy by putting air through his butthole? Are you trimming his butthole hairs? I'm sorry. I don't know what he's getting.
Directly into a person's back door. In the early medieval period, enemas were created using a tube that attached to an animal bladder, which was hand squeezed to pump the liquid into the patient.
What liquid? Is he enjoying that? Yo, why he enjoying that? Animal bladder? Like you putting animal excrements in there? You got animal liquids up his butt? What does that do for his hair? Does it help it grow?
But eventually, a tool called a clister was invented. The most common mixture used from ancient times through the medieval tool called a clister was invented.
Oh, yeah, y'all don't gotta worry about animal bladder anymore. Now you gotta worry about injections. Now you gotta worry about needles going up your butt. For what cut?
The most common mixture used from ancient times through the medieval period was salt water, which was believed to relieve constipation and work as a disinfectant. Water mixed with chamomile, rosemary, wormwood, marshmallow root, and many other herbs were also very popular. But sometimes these herbs were mixed with wine instead of water, which made the appointments a lot more enjoyable. For those who needed something a bit stronger, they were basted with pure vinegar or wine, which was believed to cleanse a person's intestines, align the humors, or cure internal rot.
Okay, so I'm assuming barbers did a whole lot more than just cut hair. Okay, so aside from trimming people's hair and giving them the most fucked up haircut in the world, they also had the pleasure of sticking tubes up people's butts. So they kind of played doctor as well.
Is obviously caused by crossing the lake of rot. Another popular mixture involved being pumped full of olive oil or animal fat, which was meant to lubricate the intestines and soften stool, allowing it to flow freely. Then there were broth and milk enemas.
No, I like a little bit of friction in my butthole. If all my poops just came out like, nah, bro. Why would you want to put olive oil in that shit?
These were given to weak patients who needed nourishment, which we have to get.
Why don't y'all be nourishing yourselves through the mouth? Like, why is the best way to be nourished through the butthole?
Give them credit here. They were so close.
Wow. Literally, dude, just put it in the other hole.
Oh, that smells amazing. Oh yeah? Nah, it's pretty good. It's actually my grandma's recipe. Oh, that's awesome, man. You want to try some? No, it's okay, man. Thank you, though. Thank you. No, seriously, it's my treat. Well, if you really don't mind, it does smell really good. Ah, don't be silly. Of course not. Number 8.
Did he just put fucking lava in his butthole? What else did they do?
Incision and drainage. Well, that was quick. And just like that, we take a dark turn. During the medieval period, if you were unlucky enough to have a boil, an abscess, or really any real swelling of any kind, you would go see your doctor, who would have pat you on the back, turned you around, and sent you in the direction of a barber surgeon. After all,
Imagine going to the person that is actually supposed to help you. That's like your house burning down and a firefighter just turned you to what? Ambulance. Bitch, this is your job. This is your expertise and you're sending me to someone that cuts hair.
reason barber poles are red, white, and blue is to symbolize blood, bandages, and veins, letting the public know that surgery was performed inside. Unlike doctors, barber surgeons were very skilled in handling blades and were hands-on with many different procedures, as you will soon see. Let's cover the 2 types of ailments or symptoms that would have required you to be drained like a can of beans. Boils. If a patient showed up with a boil, a barber surgeon would check for the following. Is the lump painful? Is it enlarged? Does it have pus? Yes to any of those questions was good enough to begin draining. This was done based on the belief that releasing pressure would prevent the infection from spreading deeper into.
Yeah. Instead of just letting the pus or the scab or whatever it is just run its course, let's poke a knife in it. And I highly doubt that they were cleaning the knife or anything that they used to puncture it. You could probably have like a little injury and then later on you're gonna wake up with the Black Plague.
The body. Abscesses that looked infected were another common condition that required drainage. Here, the barber would check the following. Did the area feel hot? Was it red or tender to the touch? If so, it was considered ripe for incision.
So God forbid I got one above my testicle. You gonna poke at it? I think it really depends on where this injury is for me to be cool to go on with this. You gonna stab me in my head? Hell nah, bruh. If anything, now I'm gonna get a permanent mark over this dumbass shit.
Then, of course, any injury or swelling that looked infected would also be drained. The procedure often made things much worse, leading to deadly infections.
Nigga, is that Obito? Holy shit, that man is ugly.
Sepsis, gangrene, or death. Today, we all know that the unsanitary blade was the most dangerous part of the procedure. Number 7.
That's nasty as shit, by the way.
Broken bones. During the medieval period, broken bones were adjusted using the best technique available at the time: eyeballing. If someone came in with a broken arm, a barber would first diagnose the patient by touch, squeezing and feeling around before deciding, yup, just like I suspected, it's broken.
How much wiggles do you need for you to decide if a bone is broken? Could you just not tell by how the arm looks? Not only that, this is gonna sound like a dumb question. How do bones recover? Once you attach them together, do they just like kind of like connect together? Is that how it works? Does it just like grow into one another? Like how does that work?
This is when the barber would manually adjust the bone back to its original position the best he could, before bandaging the limb to a wooden splint to keep the bone in place. This is what that would have looked like. Around the 2-week mark, the patient would return to have a cast wrapped around the broken bone, made of cloth soaked in wax.
Cloth? Y'all niggas putting toilet paper around people's arms? Bro, that shit barely be holding up doo-doo. You expect that shit to hold someone's arm together? By the way, if you wipe your ass with toilet paper, you're nasty. Get you some wet wipes. I know some of y'all dookie booty ass niggas, you be on your 3rd toilet paper and you still see some smidges of poop. Get you some wet wipes, my boy. Either that or actually clean your butthole. Don't let the poop simmer in your drawers, bro. I know how some of y'all act.
Clay, or wet flour, which would harden and further immobilize the injury. And around the 10th week, the cast would be removed. And if the patient was lucky, he would have a healed and straight bone to rehabilitate.
If he was lucky, so it's not even a guaranteed thing. Wait, what happens if you don't heal a broken bone? Is it cooked? Like, is there like a time frame?
But of course, that wasn't always the case. Crooked bones were very common and often resulted in lifelong crooked limbs or disability. But one of the most painful scenarios was when a patient suffered broken legs that didn't heal properly, resulting in them living the rest of their lives as a short king.
Wait, hold on. When were wheelchairs invented? Okay, 1595. So back then, what were they doing? They was just dragging themselves across everywhere? Oh my goodness. So if you had horrible legs, bro, that was a death sentence in itself. That's tough.
Number 6, bloodletting. Bloodletting was when a person had blood intentionally removed from their body, either through an incision or from the use of leeches. The sicker a patient was, the more blood was removed. If the patient had blood removed but their symptoms didn't improve, well, that simply meant they didn't drain enough. Blood was removed based on the belief that illness was caused by bad blood in the body. But sometimes, if a barber
Do y'all ever see the videos of bloodletting where people just poke a dot in their forehead and then they just let the blood just soak out? Like, that's the dumbest shit. And usually they do that because they're getting a headache. Are you dumb? I wonder who even came up with this. There had to be someone that was like, you know what? Okay, let me poke myself and let's see what happens.
suspected a patient of having too much blood, yeah, that called for a draining as well. I know what you're thinking. What symptoms would you have to be seen as having too much blood? Well, any of the following: red flushed skin, fever, inflammation, headaches, dizziness, nosebleeds, bleeding gums, or simply being in a bad mood.
Nigga, did I just catch you talking shit? Come over here, we're poking a dot on your head, nigga. We about to let 1 liter of blood go away for every time you curse. Bad mood? Could y'all imagine getting punished as a kid? Are you serious? You're depressed? Nobody likes you? You're broke? Your parents hate you? You got robbed? You're sad? Come over here. Let me poke a hole in your forehead. Let's let the blood go out. You're gonna be happy afterwards. Imagine being a therapist back then. You're not curing anyone's pain.
Were all considered signs that you were hoarding blood. These were the most common locations for bloodletting. Yes,
There is 4 lines going through the dick. There are people that let bloodletting go through their dick. Oh, hey, honey. Are you in a bad mood? Work was tired today. You not getting no head. We about to poke a needle through your dick. Yeah. That's gonna do the trick. Oh, hell nah.
I know. Now, the good news was that those who had money could pay for someone to come to their home and place leeches on them, which was a painless form of bloodletting.
Yeah, you see, I don't mind leeches anywhere. If you gonna put a leech down there, it makes sense. But you gonna poke a hole, that's when we need to talk.
Some even went as far as saying it was relaxing, which meant it carried the risk of accidentally falling asleep and waking up at low HP. Number 5, cauterization. Here, a patient
Okay, so we're just cutting people up now. That's what we're doing. We're just like chopping this shit off.
who was severely injured and losing blood was brought into the barber shop, where the barber would take a red-hot iron tool and press it direct.
Okay, that makes sense, right? I think this is what I would have done back in the day. What else are you gonna do? Just wrap it and let the blood go away? Are you gonna like sit on it? I feel like the best thing to do is put volcano in it.
Onto the patient's open wound, applying constant heat until it formed a golden brown mahogany crust with a slight char, then waiting 5 minutes for the juices to redistribute before enjoying. If the barber nailed the crust, it should have stopped the bleeding, hopefully saving the patient's life. But sadly, oftentimes the pain was so agonizing that patients simply died from shock. Really quickly, let's cover the most common spots where cauterization was used, and you'll see exactly why people passed out or died from the pain alone. Hemorrhoids.
So because it's hard for me to poop, you about to put a molten lava stick in my asshole? That's what you're gonna do? You want me to have a good time? Yo, are these barbers or are they gynecologists? Because how much roles did barbers fulfill? Hell nah.
Yeah, you know what? I'm good. We could just end it there. Number 4, tooth extraction. Another skill barbers had to master was tooth extraction. Now, surprisingly, tooth decay and infections were not as common as they are today, since refined sugar was rare and expensive. Nobility were more likely to suffer
Bro, imagine how terrible people's breath were back then. Holy shit.
from tooth pain caused by cavities, since they were actually able to afford sweets. But the majority of teeth extraction still came from peasants and commoners, not from eating sweets, but because they cracked their teeth eating stale bread. Those who could afford fresh bread easily avoided this problem, and instead cracked their teeth on small rocks, since flour was commonly ground with stone mills that frequently chipped. During this time period, tooth pain was believed to be caused by tooth worms, so to drive them out, people tried the following: holding their head over an open flame, holding their heads over smoke, and the scariest one, applying heated metal directly to the tooth. But once they realized that none of these worked, they eventually arrived at the barber shop in hopes of finding a permanent solution. If the pain was subtle, you might get something like an herbal tincture made of garlic, vinegar, sage,
You see, no, back then, barbers were doing the most for their money, bruh. You got butt problems? Here, we're gonna put a molten hot lava in your butthole. You're not eating well? Guess what? We're gonna inject liquids in your butthole. Your legs are chopped off, we gonna reattach it back. Nowadays, y'all niggas be charging me $50 for a lineup, nigga. Y'all are taxing for what? These new age barbers, bruh. Y'all not doing shit.
wine applied to the outside of the jaw.
Wait, how much do y'all be paying for haircuts? I'm actually curious, bro, because the last haircut I paid for, bro, it was $75. Granted, I only got one haircut in the past year. I think it should be $30 maximum. And then anything you add with the tip, it's on you.
Which obviously did nothing but make you smell like an uncooked piece of chicken. If you walked in with severe tooth pain, then you could expect absolute hell. Tooth extractions were one of the most common procedures and were quick and brutal. The barber
Bro, was I the only one as a kid? I'd hate telling my parents that my tooth was feeling loose because they'd be like, oh, let me see. And then they ask to go snatch that shit. I hate that. Leave me alone. Let it fall off naturally. I swear to God, I'd be scared as shit. Yo, losing teeth as a kid was one of the worst feelings. I didn't like it.
would use either a tool called a pelican or a plier-like instrument to yank the tooth out, trying his best to not break the patient's jaw. And as the patient screamed in agonizing pain, a hot iron was thrust into the mouth to
On the gums!
cauterize the wound and stop the bleeding. That was the moment many realized it just wasn't worth it and simply passed away. Number 3, cataract surgery.
Yo, dying to just get your teeth done is crazy.
Couching was a procedure in which cataracts were treated by displacing the cloudy lens inside the eye. Now, I know that might sound confusing if you're not an eye doctor or surgeon, but don't worry, I've done my research. After watching an eye doctor explain all the parts of the human eye, I can confidently say, I now know as much as he does. When a person has cataracts, the lens inside the eye becomes cloudy, which
Oh, this is the thing that Mr. Beast was curing people for, right? They removed the blurriness. Damn, bro. If only Mr. Beast was alive back then.
prevents light from being properly focused onto the retina. This can cause blurry or dim vision, glare, faded colors, double vision, or if you're really unlucky, complete vision loss. Really quickly, to fully grasp how devastating the medieval procedure was, you first need to know the basics of what this surgery looks like today. First, the eye is numb with eye drops. Then a tiny incision is made in
You put that knife near my eye, I'm putting that knife near your ball sacks. I'm chopping that shit off. Don't play with me, bro. One thing I don't play is about the sensitivity of my eye, bro. Like, I don't even know how some of y'all be playing some eye contacts on.
the cornea. The cloudy lens is then broken up using ultrasound, removed, and replaced.
Ultrasound? What that mean? Y'all yelling at the eyeballs? That's how y'all get the vision to be clear? Yo, next time y'all see a blind nigga, just yell at him, bro. Wait, what is ultrasound? What is ultrasound?
Removed and replaced with a clear artificial lens. An easy procedure that only takes 10 to 20 minutes. Now that we're all eye doctors, let's talk about what would have happened if a person wanted to remove cataracts from their eyes during the medieval period. A person walks into the barber shop. No, a barber shop. Okay.
Oh, cause he's blind, get it? Y'all get it? Some of y'all didn't get it, so you can thank me later, bro.
Since there were no painkillers or numbing drops, patients were instead tightly tied down. The barber would tightly hold the eye open with one hand while inserting a sharp, needle-like tool through the cornea. The cloudy lens was not removed. Instead, the lens was pushed into the eyeball as if it were
Yeah, no, you know what? Yeah, just stick the molten lava up my ass, bro. Dead ass.
trash bin. An easy procedure that only takes 10 to 20 minutes.
Dude, you're poking the knife inside the eye. Okay, yeah, you're removing the cataracts at what cost? Now the whole eye is gone.
Sadly, only about 10 to 20% of patients actually receive partial vision restoration.
And that's what y'all niggas get. What made you think that the smartest way to take away the blindness is by actually just poking it? I swear to God, bro.
Since the majority got eye infections or lost their eye completely, since tools were not sanitized during this time period. Number 2, trepanation. Trepanation is when a hole is surgically made on a person's head. These holes were manually drilled or sawed into the skull in an attempt to treat various illness or relieve symptoms. You're probably wondering, what type of illness would call for a hole in the head? Well, I'm glad you asked. If a person had seizures, convulsions, paralysis, psychosis, depression, hallucinations, migraines, headaches, being crazy, insane, or showing erratic behavior
Weird. Like, I understand, like, psychosis, hallucinations, seizures. You gonna poke the top of my head because I'm weird?
of any kind, those were all good enough reasons. Holes in the head were believed to release excess pressure.
Nigga, are we in an anime? Who's letting steam off their head when they puncture it?
Another common belief was that the hole would allow evil spirits trapped in the skull to be freed. Here, a barber would take a sharp, arrow-like tool and place the sharp end on the patient's head, then quickly rotate it between his hands to drill into the person's skull. Again, without anesthesia or painkillers, the procedure was excruciatingly painful. It also took hours to complete, since multiple holes were sometimes drilled. But after the procedure, the person would have a moment to catch their breath. before things only got worse. Since the person suffered an agonizing hole on their head for up to a year as it slowly healed. Well, that's if they even lived, since many patients died from infection shortly after. Number 1. Amputations. Amputations were among the most painful and deadliest procedures that barber surgeons performed during the medieval period. The most common reasons for amputation were injuries sustained by soldiers or complications from infection and gangrene. But let's talk about how the procedure was done. Let's say a soldier came into the barbershop from battle with a mangled arm. He would have been seated and restrained, either with ropes or by multiple assistants. The limb would then be tied off with a tourniquet to slow the bleeding. Then the speed run would begin. The barber would cut the skin and
Why you gotta cut the skin? Why can't you just chop it off? Why can't you just one real quick and then just put a band-aid over it? Why don't you just do that?
muscle using a knife or scalpel, then saw through the bone with a bone saw, chisel, or in an emergency, an axe. But for those who lived long enough to see their limb tossed in the trash, their wound would then be cauterized with a hot iron to stop the bleeding. The stump would then be wrapped with bandages soaked in wine or herbs before being sent home to recover. Many didn't. Since you guessed it, they died from infection shortly after. Hopefully watching this video made you appreciate modern medicine and how lucky we are to be alive today. But for those who need a bit more
No. What I realized about this is that these modern day barbers are charging too much for a haircut. And back then they used to do much more. Barbers, step your shit up. If you're not gonna be part-time gynecologists and doctors, do not talk to me. Do not charge me $50 for a cut.
convincing, I'll just leave you with this. Today, if you were at the hospital with a knife impaled in your thigh, they'd simply take a second knife to cut around the meat, then use that same blade to pry out the first. No need for amputation. That's modern medicine.
That's true. Anyways, good video. Moral of the story, be grateful that you live in this generation, because back then, if you didn't have 20/20 and you were kind of blind, they wasn't going to give you glasses. They was just going to poke your eyes out. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, join us on Discord, catch us on Twitch, all that good stuff. Like, for life. Love y'all, and peace.